So let's see what's going on. Okay. YouTube is live. We are here. I'm here. We have some people here. Good morning. My name is Brian Snyder. I am the founder of Your Body Never Lies, which is an internal body language training system. And it looks like I need to turn my volume down. I am making this video and these videos on Saturdays to encourage you to join my school, which is the Your Body Never Lies College. And at the college, what you learn to do is to rewrite your internal dialogue so that you no longer suffer for events in your past history. And this is very powerful. It frees up your mind and your attention to be here now. That's the first part of the college. And it's something that I've been doing for years with people one-on-one. Because of the pandemic, I've put it online. And good news for you is because it's online, I can deliver it with a lot less energy and time on my part, so I can make it a lot cheaper. So the college is $100 to get in and to get through the 100 level and to complete your suffering, including unlimited Zoom calls. Group Zoom calls, which we are on one right now. So students from the college can call in on these Saturday morning Zooms to ask questions. And if you are here on YouTube, you can ask questions in chat. And I'll just say hello in chat so you can see I'm actually here. If you have a question, go ahead and just send it in the chat. Or if you're at the college on Zoom, you can ask away. Everybody's volume is on. And it's a small crowd today. I hope it gets bigger. And we'll just see what happens. The purpose of the college is to take away or pull the rug out from under your body's reasons for replaying your history. And if you've studied mind or consciousness at all, you've probably heard about elephants, that elephants constantly see their memories, and that if they get traumatized, it's very hard for an elephant to get past the trauma because their bodies feel that the trauma is continually happening. And so their attention gets all wrapped up in their history instead of what's actually in front of them. And people, as humans, do that too. We go unconscious to it, we ignore it, but it happens a lot. We see somebody in our peripheral vision who reminds us of somebody who did us wrong or that we did wrong to, and it activates a little memory in our mind that distracts us from what we're doing right here, right now. Now that mechanism is what has been unraveled at Your Body Never Lies. And it does not require any drugs, it doesn't require any heavy therapy, it doesn't require much of anything other than understanding the math of how and why your body does it. And once you understand why your body does that, you can just choose to not do it. With a little practice, it truly is that simple. So that's the long and short of it. Anyone at the college have something to add? You look like you're contemplating life, Susan. What do you want to say? Oh, your microphone's off.
Listening at this point.
Oh, there we go.
Thank you, but I'll chime in when I can gather a thought together for you.
Okay. Well, I am not particularly fond of lecturing, so I'm hoping somebody has a question. I'll tell you, if you'd like to do the Your Body Never Lies program, the Play Shop, which is the core of the program, and if you are a good student, you know, if you made it through college with a decent GPA and know how to learn, you can do the Your Body Never Lies Play Shop online for free in just a month or two. And at the end of that time, you'll wake up one morning and you'll suddenly realize that, you know, you're just not mad at, you know, your uncle anymore, or you just don't care about what happened to you in third grade anymore. Like it just won't impact your life in the moment. It's incredibly freeing, and it's relatively easy. Well, what do you think, Susan? Was it relatively easy, or was it like pulling teeth?
He would say it's definitely easy. It's simple. Maybe it's more simple than it is easy. Um,
It is very simple, and what's difficult is just the information because we haven't seen it before. So lots of times, when we hear new information, we tend to hold our breath, especially if the information, um, what's the word? Exciting is the wrong word, but if it surprises us, many of us tend to hold our breath when we get surprised. That actually prevents new information from getting in, and that's where the difficulty is. The information itself is very simple. What's complicated are the things we've told ourselves about why we have to cope with something in our history. And so we get these complicated formulas for how to deal with life and people and our own emotions. And we can get really invested in that. But once you see how simple it is to unravel, if you are heavily invested in your machinations and your schemes and your little programs to get around your suffering, the simplicity of it will make you wrong. It's going to make you feel like you've been doing it wrong your whole life. And that's what's hard, is acknowledging, oh, my plan didn't work. Oh, yeah, I am still mad at my mom. Yeah, I am still mad at this. Or yeah, I still do cringe whenever I see XYZ. The mechanisms that we have to get around our suffering for our history, they get in the way of learning this new system. And that's the only thing that's difficult. If you know how to learn and you know how to let go of bad information, how to let go of information that doesn't serve you anymore, this class, I think, can go pretty quickly and relatively easily. If you come to the college, you can do the play shop with coaching and with help on group Zooms. You can get your questions answered, and you can meet other people who are also, learning the information and going through the same things you'll be going through. Or if you like to go solo, you just do it on YouTube. It's free. I haven't even monetized my channel. YouTube gets all that revenue from the ads. So, you can do it for free. And if it works for you, then you can join the college later if you want. It's not a big deal. The first part of the college is about getting rid or letting go of our suffering, our replayed suffering. And once you let go of that and you've got a lot more of your attention right here, right now, then you can learn the more fun things like external body language, like the psychic stuff, feeling and moving energy. Those things are really fun to learn, but they're impossible to learn until you let go of your suffering. And in fact, learning these things will reactivate old suffering. If you suddenly learn or feel or sense how to be psychic and how to read what's going on with somebody, what's going to hit you is all the times you failed to do it in your history. And then you start thinking about, oh man, this would have saved my life if I had just known how to do this 10 years ago or something. But that's part of the same mechanism that keeps you suffering. You have to let go of that mechanism so that when you learn something new, you just learn something new and grow. You don't get stuck making yourself wrong for not having known it before, or for misusing it or misapplying it, or however you do it. Education is a funny thing. People have learning and education. It's its own monster. It's its own thing to learn. And I had to learn how to learn to figure this out. And because I learned how to learn, I also understand how to teach. So if you do come on the Zooms, there's not a single question you could possibly have that I would not be able to help you with. I've literally come with this information from every angle there is. It's been some 30 years and 20 years with my guru, like basically holding my hand and taking me to teacher after teacher after teacher after teacher to see how this all works and fits together in a very simple way. So that's about as much as I can say without somebody asking questions or chatting in.
well, I could chime in.
Sure.
Okay. The thing I'm kind of aware of, or I'm thinking about, who's listening to this right now, is how ideal it is to have something available that, at least the play shop is free on YouTube to get an introduction before you join the college. And then to be able to actually speak to the person, if you find it useful, which I found it extremely and incredibly useful, then to be able to actually ask a question to the person who's teaching you is really unusual and really cool. So I think things like this, it's good that you can approach it with complete privacy, like nobody really knows what you're doing. You don't have to make any do you know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, this isn't therapy. We don't talk about our history and about the heavy things we're carrying around. That's not what this is about. This isn't a care and share type group. We care and we share. It's just not necessary, and we don't get into drama. We don't get into stories because this education isn't about new coping mechanisms. Excuse me. It's not about learning new coping mechanisms. It's about learning how to rewrite the mechanism, how to rewrite the programming so that those old things don't keep coming back up.
Right, but I was just thinking that, like, if someone and starts doing the play shop, it's like bite-sized videos. You do one at a time. You feel how you feel from doing them and from doing the exercises. And it's nice that it's, like I said, I think when you're trying to address things that are very difficult for people, it's nice that it feels very private and very much like just your own work that you're doing yourself.
Right.
And yet then having access to ask you questions is awesome. Really.
Right. No, it's
very
definitely
ideal. I think it's really ideal.
Right. No, thank you. No, it's definitely inner work, and that's why it's on YouTube, because it is one-on-one. But it's not one-on-one with me, it's one-on-one with ourselves. My voice is just the facilitator or whatever. That's how I see it anyway.
Right. Well, when I first discovered your work, I was like, okay, your body never lies. Whatever that means, I'm interested. I'm interested. I want to know what that means.
Right on.
And then when I heard play shop, I was like, I love that. Not really. I love that. Okay, now what is this?
Right.
That's how I started doing them, and
for people listening at home, I'll explain that. So your body never lies means that your body language, the language that your body telegraphs to the world outside of you, always tells the truth. It always tells the truth. People wear their heart on their sleeve. They wear their mind on their sleeve too. They're always showing it. As a child, though, you learn to ignore it. The adults taught you to not notice what was going on or to not speak about it. And because you couldn't speak about that information, you just suppressed it and stopped noticing. But the fact is that your ability to read and feel body language is amazing. It really is. And your body never lies. Part of the training is about reawakening that ability to look at somebody and to know, oh, they're sad, but they want me to think they're happy. Or this person's trying to rip me off. Or wow, this person's genuinely happy. And to be fully confident that that's real. It's not always obvious in this world because everybody wants to be happy and smiley and, fun and friendly, right? No one wants to be thought of as a sourpuss or angry or whatever. But it's good to know what's really going on. When we're wrapped up in our suffering for our history, we tend to not notice what's going on around us. When we see that person who looks like our second grade teacher that hit us with a ruler, instead of just enjoying that person's presence and finding out what they're about and what their name is and why they're meeting you, instead of engaging with them, we engage with our mind and we start thinking about that teacher that hit us. We start wondering if this person's going to hit us, or maybe we just, our knuckles start hurting. We don't know why, or we feel like leaving and we don't know why. That's all suffering being reactivated. And when you do this training and you teach your body to discontinue recreating old suffering, that kind of programming just doesn't happen. And it slowly fades away. I'm not a total master of this. I can still get triggered. I get triggered by injustice. I can get pretty mad when people aren't treating each other well. The good news is for me is that I don't dwell in it. If I get triggered by something, I might get mad, but 5 seconds later or 10 seconds later, it's totally gone and I'm over it. I don't get stuck in my anger like I used to. But that's just to help explain this process a little bit. So in my past, I could get angry at somebody and just stew and be mad at them for weeks. That girl said something bad about me in third grade, or whatever. Like 6 months later, I'm still mad at her for what she said, or she didn't give me a Valentine's Day card, or whatever. Like holding on to these upsets, as if like if there was some sort of badge of honor or something I had to take care of. And now I get upset, and literally like a minute later, I totally forget, and it's like I don't even know. I'm like, oh yeah, that upset me. It's over. I don't care anymore because they just don't stick. And that's one of the freedoms that comes from doing this work is we don't get stuck in our upsets, because our upsets are tied to our suffering. And when you pull the rug out from under your suffering, suddenly your upsets they just don't have a lot of weight. They don't bite as hard. And if they do bite, they let go quickly. I've had phone calls where I'm just like totally livid at the person on the other end of the line because of what they did. How they harmed me in some way. And as soon as I hang up the phone, I'm laughing. I'm totally good. Like, okay, that's over. Whereas in my history, I'd be mad for days, and I'd spend days thinking about, oh, I hope they're not, I hope I didn't upset them too much, or what do they think of me? Are they talking about me now? like all sorts of nonsense. It's this, who's the guy? Bhagavan Das. He wrote he said to be here now. And that's what this is about. You can't be here now if you're suffering. Why? Because we don't suffer for anything in the present moment. Things are happening in the present moment. You either don't see them and you go into denial, or you handle them and you engage and you just take care of it. You don't suffer for what's happening right here, right now. You don't. If you see somebody get hurt and you go catatonic, that's not suffering. That's just being catatonic and being unable to move, unable to do anything. It might be due to past suffering, but that's not actually suffering. And if you break your arm and your arm hurts, that's pain. You aren't necessarily suffering for pain. Pain is just pain. There are times you might suffer for pain, but other times, pain is just pain. Who cares? Do you have to suffer for it? You burn your finger while you're cooking dinner. Are you going to stop and suffer for that? Or are you just going to keep cooking dinner? What's the big deal? The relationship to suffering and the relationship to our history and the relationship to what we expect the world to do to us in the future completely shifts with Your Body Never Lies, because the world behaves according to your internal dialogue. And partly that's due to manifestation, like whatever you think just sort of happens in the world to one degree or another. But it's also due to a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you're worried about something, then you're tuned into it and you just naturally gravitate to it. And it's also true if you love something. If you love somebody and you just walk around town, you're probably going to run into them. But if you're totally afraid of somebody and tune into that and walk around town, you're probably going to run into them. It's about what your body tunes into, just like a radio. First book I wrote, which I never published, one of the chapters was all about tuning. And, we tune literally like a radio. When you tune, well, in the old days, you would turn a dial, this analog dial, to get the radio dial over to the number that you want to tune into to listen to. But we do the same thing with people. That's a hologram of how we tune into our friends. If you want to tune into Sam, it feels different in your body than if you're tuning into Diane. It feels, and you have to recreate that feeling in your body. That's how we tune in. But we can tune in that way and then give and receive information. And that's how we communicate with people. If you don't tune into the person that you're shaking hands with and talking to, you're not going to hear what they say. If you're thinking about what you're going to have for lunch in 10 minutes, instead of engaging with the person you're saying hi to, you're going to miss what they say. Even if you think you hear it, you won't be listening, and so you won't get what it means. Someone could say, do you want to have dinner tonight? And if you're wrapped up in something else, like like if you're looking at your phone, or if you're thinking about what you're going to do in 10 minutes, or you're thinking about what happened yesterday, someone asks you if you want to have dinner, all you're going to hear is, do you want to have dinner? And your body's going to say, oh, I'm not hungry. No. But if you're actually engaging and present with the person who asked you to dinner, now you're going to feel what they're really asking. Are they really asking because they want to come closer to you and they want to have some sort of business relationship and make a bunch of money with you? Or maybe they're attracted to you and they want to have dinner and start something romantic. Or maybe they're just bored and want to find out what you're about and they don't have anyone else to eat dinner with. Those are all three very different circumstances. But if you're not engaged in being here now with the person speaking to you, you won't catch the difference. All you'll hear is dinner. You won't feel what's really being asked. And feeling is the key to everything. This training is specifically about feeling ultimately, because our mind, all those little thoughts we have and concerns, and however you do it, 90% or more of it is simply a mechanism to handle your suffering. And I know this is true because when you handle your suffering, 90% of your mind stops. It just goes quiet. Like it's just not there anymore. It doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be chattering. Oh, I wonder if that person likes me. I wonder if this, that. I wonder, blah, blah, blah. It's gone. You don't need to think about the world anymore. You can just observe it. And this is, when you hit that place, you've really hit the freedom that the training offers. And this can happen on the 100 level of the college. You don't even need to graduate. All you need to do is get through the first level. The next levels are just for fun to peel off, some more subtle layers, but they're not necessary in order to have a happy and fulfilled life that doesn't include unnecessary suffering. Hey, somebody liked it. I got a thumbs up. Yay. Thank you. What do you say, Susan, about all that? Was I spot on? Am I close to your experience when I'm talking?
Very much so, very much so. And I'm just thinking that a person could do the play shop and get all the things that you just described. And sort of, why not?
Right, why not?
Try it? Why not try it?
Right.
It's a beautiful thing. It really is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it really is. And
it is.
It's a beautiful thing because it's not about hypnosis. It's not about drugs. It's not about changing your beliefs. It's not about anything other than information. You take information in, and when it makes sense and your mind does the math, it just rewrites how you do suffering. How would you put it differently, Susan?
Well, the thing that you have said to me at times, which I don't think you'll mind me sharing here, is that you put that on YouTube for free because you and your wife had so much benefit from this that you kind of felt like, I just have to share this. Maybe I have more that people could join the college. But because remember when you told me about when you had situations that were very stressful.
Yeah.
And you could see that other people were being stressed in a way that you were not.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when you were talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something I noticed early on, is that I don't get triggered like I used to. I still can get triggered, but if I'm noticing what's going on, like if I just stop and go, wait, what's really happening here? I can avoid all triggers. I can avoid upsets. I can just notice what's actually going on and not get wrapped up, which I couldn't do before. There was no way that 20 years ago, if I saw some injustice happening and it was in my presence, I would have to jump in and offer my 2 cents. And now I can observe and go, oh, wait, that's not an injustice. I don't see the whole picture here. I need to see more. It's the need to be right comes out of our suffering. And the suffering that I had as a child put me in a place where if I had to be right and if I felt like I was wrong, then that also meant that maybe I would be hurt. So it was really easy for me to get invested in my beliefs. So if I had A, B, C, D, E information, and I could draw a conclusion from that information, my conclusion was right. And that was it. I didn't want to hear about F, G, H, I, J, K. Those didn't matter. I'd already made up my mind, because being right meant safety and being wrong meant maybe being hurt, either physically or emotionally. So that's really a freedom that came for me, is when I released my suffering, is now when I get information, I can draw a conclusion. At the same time, I leave myself open. Oh, I can get more information, continually get more information, and continually evolve my conclusion. And that's a huge freedom, because, once in the past anyway, I put my foot down and say, this is the way things are. Now I'm attached. Now I'm invested. And now I'm going to argue to keep things the way they are, the way I want to see them. And that creates more suffering. Like, literally, the things we do to avoid suffering are what create more suffering. And it's unconditional love. Everything comes down to love, of course. Like, you get rid of suffering, you feel more love, right? And unconditional love is great because, well, it's not conditional. It's not conditional upon you making this choice or that choice, or doing this or that, or dressing some way. It's just unconditional love. It's just the joy of being alive. But that is what opens up, because it's the joy of being alive that matters. If we're suffering, how can we enjoy being alive? Like, and I have suffered. I can't claim that I've suffered as much as everybody else in the world, but I've suffered greater than a lot of people I've met. And I can tell. I mean, you can see people suffering in their body language when they walk down the street. I'm just glad that I took the time to figure it out, because most people, and I just see it with my friends too, and I try to get them to not do it, they get an upset and they just want to move on with their life. Like the breakup or the firing or the car accident, whatever. They just want to move on with their life and stop thinking about it. Like, let bygones be bygones. They don't realize that they're dragging the memory forward with them. And it's going to impact future choices and get replayed. If we don't resolve and get the lesson from whatever our upset is, if we go into denial or blame someone else or whatever we do, then the same upset shows up again in a slightly different circumstance with slightly different characters. But it's the same lesson that the universe, trying to teach us. And that's this whole idea I keep repeating over and over of peel away the suffering, get rid of the suffering, get rid of the nonsense that occupies our mind. It's so that we can learn the lessons. The universe is not really doing anything other than trying to teach us how to love each other. But you can't learn those lessons if every time you go to learn a lesson, all you think about is your own suffering, which is really easy to do. When you get past believing in your own suffering, then you can see the actual circumstances that are going on and actually engage with them. So I hope that doesn't sound cryptic. But that's, I don't know how to describe being on the other side of this chasm to people who haven't even seen the chasm yet.
Well, the funny thing is, Brian, that talking about this just makes me, and thinking about other people who haven't done this play shop yet, just makes me want to do it again.
Yeah.
Honestly. I've done it numerous times, and I will do it again, because it's almost like repeat it, and kind of more and more it gets into you, and it's just.
Well, the play shop is the core of everything that I do. And even when we do the higher level classes, they're really just there to get to a deeper level of the play shop that you couldn't get just by looking at suffering. So when we get into the upper level classes and you learn about receiving information over distance, that can create a bit of suffering. But the suffering isn't one of personal pain. It's more of a spiritual suffering of like, oh, why didn't I reach out like this before? Or why didn't I listen in this way before? And those sorts of personal questions can very easily re-trigger old suffering, especially feelings of feeling alone or being not wanted or not having the same skills as other people, like feeling like we're the only one who doesn't get it. Those thoughts that create suffering, that are just sort of a more subtle layer of suffering, that's the layer that we're looking to peel away on the upper level classes. The fact of the matter is, I can't really teach anyone how to be an unconditionally loving being. It's the core of who you are. It's just who you are naturally. Like there's nothing to teach there. But I can show you how to peel away the layers that prevent you from expressing that and from feeling that. And that's what these classes are for. They're about peeling away layers. It's not just the suffering layers don't end with our personal suffering for our history. There's also spiritual suffering. Why am I not connected to Creator? Why am I this or that? And unraveling where those questions comes from not only answers the questions, it also gets rid of the questions. Like, why am I not creator? Well, that's a dumb question because it's impossible to be disconnected from Creator. But we can have the thought that we're disconnected from Creator, and that can create the feeling that we're disconnected from Creator, which creates the experience of being disconnected from Creator. But the whole thing is a fantasy. It's not real. And, understanding the math of your connection, when you understand the math, it just becomes impossible for our mind to then go down that same road again. It's like literally impossible for me to think myself into a place where I feel disconnected from Creator. It's just not like I just know the math. And the math isn't hard. There's no secrets here. I'm not holding up secrets that you can't have unless you pay. You can't have unless you do this or that. Like, there's no secrets. There's no secrets, but there's appropriateness. There's you peel off the layers in order. And when you do, that thing that you're looking for gets revealed to yourself. Doesn't come from me, it comes from inside your own core. Right? I can't teach anybody what's happening in their core, but I can show you how you pack layers on top of your core so that you can't see it, and show you how to unpack those layers so you can get there. So Susan is nodding yes. Some people on YouTube who can't see the Zoom. She's going, yeah. Yeah. Well, I hope somebody gets benefit from this. I'm glad we met today. Is there anything else we should go over today?
I think this was good. And like I said, I think the play shop is a really great place for people to start.
Yeah.
And then they can, if they care to, join the college, which those would be the two steps. That pretty simple. The play shop is free. It's on YouTube, and then you can join the college. And
yeah.
For not expensive, you can add even much more connection to this community and to
right. I'll put the address here in the chat. I know everyone's going to have it anyway. So it's youtube.com/free of limits. And the playlist that you need to do or should check out is the Your Body Never Lies online play shop. And it's 37 or 38 videos totaling 4 hours. And just start them. Just watch the first few. And, if you like my vibe, if you get what I'm doing, then stick with it. And I love to watch you become amazed. So I think we'll end for today. And Rachel said this was great. Hi, Rachel. Thanks. Did you have any? If there's any questions, go ahead and type them. Otherwise, we'll just meet next week, and we're going to do this every Saturday at 10 a.m. California time. And I don't know what the topics are going to be, so I think I'll just post what the topics were in the descriptions after we actually have our talk, so that if anybody ever wants to go back in the future, they can. And do you have something to say?
I just want to say one thing, which is thank you, Brian, because I love that you're doing this work. I appreciate that you're doing it. And I think people who start to get to find this will feel the same way. Thank you.
Cool. Tell your friends. All right. So I'm going to end this. Thank you all for coming. And I'll see you at the play shop or at the college. And see you next Saturday. Yeah? Okay. Ciao.